Bungie has multiple issues right now. The first and more obvious problem is that they released a game that did not satisfy returning players of Destiny 1 or the new players to the Destiny franchise. Look no further than the mass exodus of PvP players from Destiny 2, the ultra-low player counts in the Crucible, or on PC to see evidence of this. The second problem, and perhaps the one that is harder to fix, is a loss of trust and goodwill from the player base. Serious issues like the hidden XP gating system, locking previously accessible content behind the Curse of Osiris DLC, the hidden emphasis on microtransactions in the endgame, and others have created a feeling that Bungie is not being honest with its player base and has designed Destiny 2 to milk every dollar out of us that they can using psychology and microtransactions. Yesterday, Bungie released a developer update with a ton of upcoming changes, and the question is, are these changes enough? Can Bungie 1 improve the gameplay experience of Destiny 2 to keep the player base that they have, bring back lapsed players, and even attract brand new players? And 2, can they earn back the trust and goodwill of the community? This video will not be reading off a list of upcoming features, but be more of an analysis of what these features mean and how they make me as a player feel. If you haven't seen the dev update, I'll put a link down in the description of the video so you can read the complete list yourself, or for a full breakdown, the host of the Destiny Community Podcast and I discussed each upcoming change in detail for a couple of hours last night. So let's start off with the Eververse. This had to be addressed. A look at the Destiny Reddit or the Bungie forums will immediately tell you that players are angry. And it was the first thing that Chris Barrett addressed in yesterday's dev update. But do the changes to the Eververse go far enough to both improve the player experience in Destiny 2's endgame and take steps to repair the relationship between Bungie and its fans? I think the answer is yes. While the changes do fall short of removing the Eververse trading company altogether, I don't think that was ever truly a reasonable ask. However, the changes they are making promise to reduce the emphasis on microtransactions and add reasons to engage in endgame content. Adding items like ghosts, sparrows, and ships to reward pools for activities is a great step in the right direction, and if used correctly, could add motivation to engage with raids, nightfalls, and strikes. Also, adding gameplay paths to obtain bright engrams and a way to directly purchase items from the Eververse store, for me, makes the game feel less predatory. Let me earn the items I want from gameplay and allow a straightforward and clear path for purchases instead of hiding items behind multiple different in-game currencies and RNG. It feels more honest. Do I still have a problem with a microtransaction being in the game and selling loot in a full-price looter shooter? Yeah, I still don't like it, but the changes they are making show a lot more restraint than what shipped with the game and was so openly terrible during the Dawning event. Bungie is pumping the brakes, and I do appreciate it. The upcoming Crimson Days event will reflect these changes in February, and based on the changes listed in the developer update, it looks like it will be an event that will actually be rewarding to people who play it, not just people who pay. Moving forward, we'll be able to earn live event rewards, for example, Crimson Days engrams and items by playing the game. Nightfalls, raid milestones, leveling, completing Crimson Days matches and milestones, all of these things will allow you to earn Crimson Days engrams and rewards. Short of removing microtransactions altogether, we got everything we wanted here. The Eververse was a serious pain point for players, not just because of the high cost of obtaining items, but because of the removal of these items as rewards for activities. They seem to be fixing both of these, and assuming that these changes are what they seem to be, I think that it is the first step in repairing Bungie's relationship with players. Next, the Crucible. There's good here, there's bad here, and there's a lot of questions here. Mayhem is coming back as a limited time event in Season 3. We're getting 6v6 playlists, Rumble, private matches. Awesome, I can't wait for all of that stuff. We're also getting a Crucible rank system, which is probably a good thing, but until we know more about how this will be implemented, I have no idea how good. Will this be only in the competitive playlist? Will rank affect matchmaking? Will rewards be given for ranks? Are there enough players in the Crucible to even support a system like this? The questions about this system are countless, and I think it's very important for Bungie to be super clear and communicative about the systems in place and what they offer as early as possible. Using the term rank carries a lot of baggage with it and sets up expectations. If Bungie's going to use that word, they need to meet those expectations or be very clear very early about why it will be different than what players expect. Look at the Mercury Weapon Forge or the Infinite Forests to see how naming can lead to player disappointment for an activity that doesn't live up to its title. But all of these changes to the Crucible don't really matter because there's nobody playing it. And this brings us to what is most notably missing in the developer update: communication about changes to the sandbox and the weapon systems. The Crucible is dead. Right now it's completely dead. It's terrible. Even if, like me, you enjoy playing Destiny PvP, there's nobody else playing. That's because players just don't find the Crucible to be a fun experience. Adding playlists and ranking systems will not fix that. Bungie needs to address the lack of fun in the Crucible, and they remained largely quiet about this in the update. They did say there will be sandbox adjustments in Season 3 and weapon slot and archetype improvements in the fall or possibly sooner, but this is too vague and it reeks of the secretive aspect of Bungie that players really don't like. The core experience of the Crucible needs to be adjusted to add power to individual Guardians. I think Mayhem really proved that. Mayhem was a huge success. Players had a lot of fun in there, and then going back into regular Crucible, the contrast is really clear. During last night's Destiny Community Podcast, Miss 5000 Watts said it best, and I paraphrase, when she said, "It is hard to point at one thing that will fix the Crucible because it's a combination of many factors that contribute to the problem." And that needs to be a priority for Bungie, and it needs to be a public discussion because there are so many factors that come into play here. Be open with the community about the changes you're thinking about making, why you're making those changes, and be receptive to feedback about them. If Bungie is thinking about restoring the primary and special and heavy system in Destiny 1, talk about why and how it will be implemented. If you're considering lowering time to kill for weapons, let's talk about it. This is a huge issue for the game and clearly affects the player base. You've said you're going to communicate more. Follow up this time. Let's talk about the changes before they are final, make us feel included, and start repairing the strained relationship that has formed since the release of Destiny 2. Creating an environment in the Crucible that players don't find to be fun is a giant issue for this game. It needs to be a top priority. It should have been a focus of the dev update and needs to address player concerns. So let's do this together. Next, the Masterwork armor. I like this. I'd like to see more customizability in the benefits besides damage reduction while using a super, and I'm curious about just how drastically the stats of Masterwork armor can be re-rolled. For instance, can a set that has full mobility be re-rolled to get full recovery, or is it more subtle than that? I do think the addition of Masterwork weapons have been a positive for Destiny 2 in terms of adding an exciting reward to the game that wasn't previously there, and I expect Masterwork armor to have a similar effect. Also, Bungie is working on a full rework of mods, calling it Mods 2.0, promising a reduction of redundancy, more unique theming, and increasing their impact on power. This is great news. Mods could be not only a great way to customize our Guardian, but also by rewarding specific mods and only specific activities, a great way to drive player engagement. Imagine an armor mod only available from the Gauntlet encounter in the Leviathan raid that gives an increase to sprint speed. If they got the Mod 2.0 system right, they could address serious problems with the game and give us reasons to play it. And that's a great thing. And that is what Destiny needs, and what a lot of the changes in the dev update seem to be trying to provide. Bungie is clearly listening to player feedback, and Chris Barrett in particular is communicating upcoming changes that the community is asking for, which is amazing. Will the changes listed go far enough to fix the issues that Bungie has? I think they are a step in the right direction. The changes to Eververse will hopefully begin to restore the bond between Bungie and its players. With more work in the future, including open and honest communication, I do think that we can get past some of the controversy and bad PR that we had this fall. But for some, I think it is, it's too little too late. Many players, understandably, feel twice bitten by Destiny, and some players, they just may never come back. And without significant changes to the sandbox, PvP players in particular seem like they just don't have fun in the Crucible, and there's not enough in this update to convince them that things will change. Destiny 2, it offers something that no other game offers, a looter shooter that you can play with your friends that looks and feels great. This formula is simply not being offered by anybody else, and it's very compelling. Because of this, Bungie still has an opportunity to bring back lapsed players and even attract new players. But competition is coming and the clock is on. Anthem, Borderlands 3, and others are in development and targeting the Destiny community. So it's really up to Bungie at this point. This is a good step in the right direction. The dev update is a good step in the right direction, but it's not nearly enough in my opinion. There's more that needs to be done to both A, fix the game and make it more engaging for players long term, and B, fix the relationship that Bungie has with its community. And I think that while yes, the dev update is a step in the right direction, certainly more needs to be done. And Crucible players in particular really need to be addressed. The Crucible is in really rough shape, and if that is your primary engagement point with the game right now, there's really no reason to play it at all. So looking forward to future updates from Bungie. I definitely like the direction that Chris Barrett is taking here. I hope that this time we really do see an increase in communication consistently from Bungie, because we've definitely been promised it before and it wasn't delivered. So if this is the kind of communication that we can expect in the future, I think that's really good for the Destiny community, and it will really help the relationship between Bungie and its fans. So good work, Christopher Barrett. Let's see more of it. That's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button if you like the video. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time.